Okay. Hi, Krishna. I'm here with Krishna Tammana. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
CTO of Gupshup. And we're here to, get to know a little bit more about Gupshup, about what you do, and in general, since you're, CTO of a company that's involved in a lot of AI, we're here to also get some info on, what's going on right now, and maybe you can offer some insight for the people out there who are confused, scared, excited. There's all sorts of emotions around AI today, right? So
Yep.
let's, we just want to know a little bit about your own views and what you think, right? So let me start big picture, right? Um, which camp are you in? Let's start with the biggest question of all, right? Do you think AI is the end of humanity? Or is it a boon for humanity? Is it going to change everything? Is it just completely overhyped? Maybe the way blockchain was a few years ago? Which camp are you in?
I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I'm more of an optimist. I think there's a lot to gain out of this, but not without a pinch of caution. Just like any new technology, any new invention has the wonderful ability to contribute to humanity, but also, when used in incorrect ways, can be trouble. So I'm more in the optimistic camp, not the doom and gloom.
Got it. So are you scared? Are you dubious? Are you excited? Or a little bit of all three? What's the prevalent emotion that you're feeling?
I think it's mostly excited, but I'm also a little bit scared because um, I'm not confident that the rest of the humanity, particularly our governments, move as fast as they need to move with the technology to do the things that are necessary to keep this technology in check to be used for the right purposes. So, yes, I am excited, but I do have a sense of caution around this. Just like any other technology that's come before us, that is powerful and has the potential to revolutionize.
That's exciting. So interesting. So where would you put, in terms of technology breakthrough, right? Are we talking about fire? Are we talking about the car? Are we talking about the washing machine? Like, where would you put AI in terms of machine learning, or what we're doing right now in terms of innovation?
I think it's a pretty big deal, somewhere in the car to fire range, for sure.
Okay.
This is not a um, incremental step progress. It is actually a pretty phenomenal change that has the potential to fundamentally alter many things. So yeah, I don't think it is just a step function.
Got it. Okay. Um, so what's your stance overall on the call for AI regulation from either the public or government?
I think, like any new technology that is revolutionary, regulation is important. But you know, we all have a responsibility. We cannot just depend on a regulator to solve all problems. Though I fully agree that regulators have to move faster than they have in the past, because the pace at which innovation is happening in this field does not have room for governments to move at their pace. So we have to move faster. Having said that, I think the responsibility lies beyond just a government or a regulator. We all, as enterprises, individuals, have a responsibility to use this technology in a manner that doesn't hurt anybody. So, regulation is important, necessary, but not sufficient, because we have to be responsible as well.
Yeah, individual responsiveness for all of humanity. That's going to be tough, I think.
It is tough, but in if you believe in doing the right thing for the society, you have to take some of the responsibility. Yes, I'm not. Am I betting everything on that? No, but that is something I would encourage people to think about.
Right. Okay. Is there is there a moment over the last, I would say you're in this, right? So this isn't news to you. You've been in this machine learning deep into it for probably the last 3-4 years at least, more, maybe 10, right?
More, more.
Is there a moment over the last 5 years since you've been in this where interaction with machine learning or AI has surprised you? And if so, let's hear about it.
Yes and no. I mean, we've been talking about AI since I've been studying computer science in college, and the promise was as big at that time as it has ever been. The difference is that it never came to fruition the way we were all expecting and thinking. And I'm talking about 30, 40 years. The textbooks written on AI go that far.
Yeah.
The there has been a enormous anticipation that didn't come true. In fact, if you see the overall research world, that had slowed down quite a bit in the 90s. And then in the late 90s, it picked up again in a different form in a corporate setting. Um, AI is part of that type of evolution at that time. If you think of PageRank that Google introduced, you know, technology like that has made a big difference. And since then, AI has been slowly picking up, mainly in the form of machine learning and the algorithms that were helping us um, do things better, whether it's machine learning, deep learning, and neural networks. All of this combination have been propelling us forward, but slowly, because the expertise required to put these technologies to use was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when generative AI came on the scene, that was a big shift. I mean, I would say in the generative AI world, we are probably in the very early innings. But even the early innings were so vastly promising, just from what they're able to do in this to the technology area and society in general.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the transform. I mean, we've heard rumors of certain things that are being researched in different companies and what capabilities and possibilities were there. That was all
This is
very
getting good.
exciting.
Give us the rumors. What's going on?
No, I'm talking about old stuff, right? But when you heard about Google's work causing systems to become sentient, for example, who knows? There's no actual data on that one, but when you see those possibilities, it's exciting and scary at the same time. But when ChatGPT came on the scene, it was real. We could experience it, and then you could see the potential. So that, I think, is a big pivotal moment that all of us came to recognize.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, for me, the surprise I think came with the advent of generative AI in art, right? So DALL-E and some of the image generation things a little bit later
Yeah.
than actually the first I would say would be the deep fake, right? I think the deep fake algorithms,
Yes.
a couple years ago already, that was already quite surprising, right? Even though it seems like we could have all thought about that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, but to actually see it in live was quite shocking, I think, right?
Right. I think in the generative AI field, as you said, DALL-E was the first really exciting thing we all saw. Uh, in some ways, with sufficient amount of work, you could do some of these things even before, but it is just significantly harder.
Yeah.
The ease with which you can do all of these things now, that's the big change.
Yeah, it's the combined mass of brains that can attack this problem, if you just free them, right, is a lot bigger. And I think
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing right now, where we're seeing anybody who understands the technology and the tools to now have access, as long as they can get the data somehow, right, to create
Right.
these wonderful things.
Right.
So give me a little background on how you came to, sort of Gupshup and the problem that you're attacking right now, your sort of, your process and your progress to get interested in this field and to get into resolving the problem you're currently tackling.
Right. Sitting in California, our exposure here is limited to, not limited to, but is primarily around what's happening in the US and the West in general. But when the call came from Gupshup, I started doing some research, and I was blown away by how much was happening in the rest of the world, especially in how the web was evolving and how technology was evolving and how enterprises were leveraging channels that we never use in the West. So primarily messaging based, conversation based interactions, um, were very common with people, but that started taking root in enterprises, and the ubiquity of such conversations, whether it's China, India, or Southeast Asia and Latin America, was just eye opening for me. And the scale at which these things operate and move and the speed with which the transformation is happening was quite fascinating. So
Uh-huh.
that's how I ended up with Gupshup. It's
Got
an
it.
area that I was not as exposed to, but when I saw, I took a look at it a bit closer, I was blown away. So that's how I ended up at Gupshup.
Got it. Yeah, I think there is, even though the environment in California, right, is very conducive to startups and high tech startups, I do think there is a bit of a bubble in the types of startups that get funded. Because of the interests and sort of the bubble that's there. And it's interesting that SMS, I'm in Brazil right now, and Brazil basically functions with WhatsApp, right? They don't function, there's no
Yeah,
life outside
exactly.
WhatsApp in Brazil. In India, it's, the same. They've all got, it was Orkut, when the US wasn't even using Orkut, and then it moved on to SMS, and they've got their own platforms, and Indonesia's the same way, right? So I think that's interesting the way you got that call and you actually answered it, right? Because most people would be thinking, wow, SMS messaging, who cares, right? That's so 90s.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so but it's not the SMS part that was the most interesting. It's just the conversational nature of interactions with richer messaging platforms like WhatsApp, WeChat, and even Instagram. And RCS now is a rich messaging application protocol. So SMS is the very basic one-way messaging. Of course, you can reply back, but things like these next generation apps are so much richer and powerful, and so many possibilities in that. And as you said, I mean, we do business in Brazil as well, so I know all well how much WhatsApp is used there, as in India and Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Give me for people who are not familiar with Gupshop, give me a basic rundown of sort of the problem that you're tackling and the solutions that you found and sort of, what you guys are getting at.
Yeah. So in areas where things like WhatsApp are very popular, businesses are leveraging that channel quite a bit. And I'm using WhatsApp as an example. There are many channels like this. Conversational engagement with customers is the way forward for everything that's happening in that part of the world. And I'm sure it's just going to spread everywhere else. So what we do at Gupshup is power conversational engagement with customers. So we work with brands and businesses who are trying to engage their customers in a conversational platform. So what we do is help them make rich conversations possible, whether it's for a pre-purchase scenario. As a brand, I'm engaging customers that are potential clients, help them through the purchase process, and after purchase, we help them maintain, manage, interact, upsell, cross sell the other products to that. So if you think of the entire life cycle of customer engagement for any brand, any company that is dealing with their customers, we are a platform that will enable them. And we operate at scale. We support every channel, and we support very rich interactions. And we have specialized offerings for um, BFSI, banking and financials, as well as commerce. So we have a general purpose platform that anybody can use to engage their customers, and we have specialized offerings for BFSI and commerce. So that's in a nutshell what we do. So a lot of the brands engage with that. We operate at a very large scale. We have customers in India, Southeast Asia, UAE, Brazil, Colombia, a lot of Latin America as well. So it's a pretty busy system, very, very, very chatty,
Hmm.
as conversations are constantly going on.
Got it. So I think what's difficult with customer interaction, really, in my, maybe I'm wrong, but in my experience as a customer, it's hard to change user behavior, right? And so you got to kind of adapt and find the way that the user wants to interact with you.
That's
Um,
correct.
and that's the difficult part, right? So I guess the
Yeah, yeah.
integration with all the channels, that's really, to me, that would be the key,
That's
right?
true.
From a business perspective.
That's true. I mean, we're still not at a point where we can replace humans. That's not the idea. What we do is help brands engage with their customers, wherever they are, in whichever channel and whatever time. So we have uh, ability to help customers build bots, intelligent bots. This is where AI comes in as well, where if you feed all the knowledge to our system, we can help customers interact with automatic bot, a smart bot that can answer the questions the customer is looking to get answers for. And it behaves very naturally because it generates answers in a language that you understand. We support multiple languages, and
Mhm.
it's a conversational interface, not a very tabular or a systemic interface. Now, the advantage is that you can interact with your brand or a business 24 by 7. There's no restriction on when you can interact
So
with
are
the
you
brand.
telling me that gone are the days of press 1 to speak to customer service and press 4 and then speak 0 for an attendant?
I am telling you that. If you don't need to do that. You just have to say, I have this problem, and here comes the response.
Right.
They might ask you for more information or just give you the answer.
Got it.
But the advantage here is that while we may front with some bot, it's easy to say, I want to talk to a live agent. And we offer those capabilities and services as well.
Right.
And if an agent is interacting with the customer, we do things to help the agent respond better, um, help them formulate answers, help them retrieve data, help them form well structured English or other language sentences so that variation in humans, how we speak, etc., can be quite different. Then we can be a little bit of an assistant for humans as well.
Got it.
So yes, so this is not 100% bots only, but there are many situations where you and I would still like to speak with a human, and that is
Yeah, I
still
think
possible.
that's never going to go away. And I think, the fear for most people on the AI side is to think, okay, this is the problem that this solution solves using AI. Gone are all of the phone centers, right, and phone attendant jobs, right, and that's going to be a problem. But I think in my mind, and looking back at the data throughout history, right, it's more that these jobs become much more productive, much
Yeah,
easier, much more enjoyable in many senses, right?
yeah. Everybody becomes that much more efficient, and the interaction becomes richer.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point of this, right?
So how which parts of the experience from the personal human interaction, right? Which parts of that become available through Gupshup or through AI? What's the future there?
We fully anticipate that. Excuse me. The bots that handle your queries 24 by 7 at any volume are going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. As we give more data and more input and train them, they're just going to. What I anticipate is that more and more of these questions can be handled by the bot. Of course, there is complex stuff that you'll need to talk to an agent, but your interaction with the agents will also become that much more smoother, higher quality interactions, and much higher customer satisfaction. I think that's what we are looking at
Hmm.
in this. Now, it's the same thing whether it's before you buy something or the process of buying or support after making a purchase that you need some help with the product, etc. So I think it's just going to be a much richer environment in which the interactions happen with businesses
Right.
at scale 24 by 7.
So can you give us a little bit of sort of a little deeper insight into the actual machine learning that you guys use to sort of, which types of models do you guys use? What technology you
So
guys
we,
use?
yeah, no, we we have a research team that works on all things AI, and we used to do this with the traditional AI with algorithms that made sense at that time. But with generative AI, there are multiple foundational models. The Chat GPT being one, Llama being the other, and there are a number of open source ones, including the Google models as well. So we work with all of them.
Hmm.
We try to use the best model for the problem we are solving. But what we do specifically is take all these models, apply the use cases and the industries that we serve, and then on top of the foundation models, we do work to train specifically for our use cases and our industries.
Got it.
That's what we make available for our customers. And some customers want to build their own using this technology that we provide, and many customers say just please build it for us and we do whatever the customer needs. But
Hmm.
for example, banking, out of the box, we have the ability to create all the types of interactions you would want as a customer of a bank to have with that particular bank. So we work with that bank and make sure that all the things that they normally do, whether it's on the web or when a customer calls, we can use the same thing through WhatsApp or other technologies, other channels that we provide. So that's kind of the special thing. So we don't build foundation models. The large enterprises like Google and ChatGPT and Facebook, they building the foundation models. But we take that and then pick the model that makes the most sense and apply that domain specific knowledge that we do.
Got it.
We
Okay.
also have our own LLM, again from open source. We've taken that and trained that to solve our use cases, and we make that available as well. Especially when scenarios where customers don't want their data moving out of a particular geography, etc. Because a lot of these models are hosted in the US. Not everybody likes data moving across continents. So, and there are some regulations as well, as GDPR and other things. So
Yeah.
we try to make sure that all of these scenarios are taken care of.
So what are some of the new challenges with that workflow, right? From a technology point of view and a data logistics point of view, a cloud infrastructure point of view, what are some, like in your experience, what are some of the things that are cropping up that are new and challenging there to manage that scale?
I think the number one thing is the amount of time it takes to train models right now requires enormous amount of compute resource. So that's a pretty big challenge. Even after you give fairly large amount of resources, it still takes 8 hours to train a model, 5 to 8 hours. So this cycle has to shrink, and there is a lot of work being done to make the model smaller, move the computation to a much higher degree. So we're working with our partners to figure out how to accelerate this. Some hardware related work and some figuring out which models are a little bit easier and faster to train, etc. So that's one of the challenges. As much as it has become easier to leverage AI, my desire would be to make it even easier. How long does it take for um, building something that allows one of our customers and bots and brands to go online and have excellent responses from the system? It still takes too long for my taste. So I want to see it happen faster and faster.
Got
So
it.
there is progress, but I'm I guess eager to see it even better.
Yeah, so AI ops, right, is sort of cropping up as a major field of trying to resolve those problems. But is so in your mind, is the problem really in the on the data and infrastructure side, or is there still a manual element there that's slow in terms of people being able to tweak, train, take the decisions, understand the models? Is there a human element that's still too slow?
There is certainly a human element. However, the sophistication required to generate to leverage AI in the machine learning in the previous world to the current world is quite different. It has become a lot simpler. You don't need a computer science engineer with the coding skills to do anything basic like it used to be. Now, with technology like prompt engineering, you can tune and train the models to better answer the questions and have better generation of the answers. That part still takes skill. So it's a new field and a new skill set that is being developed. So granted, it is not computer scientist, but it's a different skill, and it is something that we all have to learn as a user. So that there is an aspect of learning and timing for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bigger thing is how long does it take to test that your system is working as expected? Because the scenarios are infinite. Because these large language models have so much in them, by asking a question a certain way, you don't know which aspect of the large language model generation you will trigger and
Yeah.
whether that's relevant to your business or not. So, verification that the answers are precise is a non trivial task. And since this is so new, it's not like we as humans are tolerant of answers that are approximate or irrelevant. It's not like a business can say, okay, or a customer can say, this is new technology, I'll be okay with the wrong answer or a irrelevant answer.
Yeah.
So for us to launch something, we have to make sure it's very precise and accurate.
Yeah,
That's a
and
non-trivial part.
with the social media culture that we're in, where it's instantaneous gratification, any slight mistake that gets out to the real world, you can
Yes.
be pretty sure is going to turn into a screenshot and a meme within 20 minutes and go around the world. So yeah, I think, and that's a major challenge. Not is it
That can be a
solvable in your
brand
mind?
reputation issue. It could be a reputation issue.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Is there, is that, do you think something that's solvable, or is that just going to
No,
be
no,
a
it's very much
possibility in business?
solvable. I mean, we can certainly solve it. Even today, we can tune the models and change sensitivities and do things that can restrict the model from giving wrong answer. But if you tune it too tight, then it's not smart anymore. It's just trying to give you canned answers. So uh, figuring out where the right point is to stop is more art than science at this point.
Right, right. From a business point of view, that's where you really, have the opportunity to create value and lasting relationships, right? By being able to
Right.
do that well, right? So that, that might be actually a good side.
Right. So that's why the models we use to train them more specifically for the industries and the use cases we serve helps
Right.
helps constrain that to relevancy for our brands and for our customers.
So, you're seeing, you mentioned prompt engineering, and you're seeing the role of AI practitioners changing, right? And maybe new jobs cropping up and new positions sort of being defined. There's one in prompt engineering. Anything else that you see cropping up that's sort of a new and exciting sort of field that hasn't existed before?
Yeah, I mean the entire notion of leveraging LLMs to put to work as a field is kind of new. I mean, which LLM should you be using? How do you tune it? And how do you prompt engineer? That whole field is different now. And what I tell you today is going to be obsolete in 2 weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Because now there is
the
a lot of
speed is
open source work going on.
incredible, right?
Yeah, the speed with the changes happening is insane. Yes, but you're absolutely right. This is a new arena, new area. Um, I read somewhere that the most expensive or highest paying job is now prompt engineering out of school. I don't know if it's true, but this is. I'm sure it won't last, but it is. It is. It sounds like it is right now.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, I think I see personally. I don't know how you feel about this, but to be working with these models efficiently to, you need to have some quite advanced math, right? To not to do the basic things, but to be able to choose the models, implement new models, create models from scratch. You do need like a high level of math and understanding that is really tough to source, right?
It's a different skill to figure out which model to use. So you have to understand the models a little better and then pick and choose. There's a lot of experimentation that has to go on.
Yeah.
If we, for example, take all of our use cases, all our data sets, use it on all different models constantly as new versions of these come, to see what's changing and how the quality of the responses are improving or not,
Right.
and then we pick and choose. So yes, absolutely, it's a
Yes, I mean,
different way
we've
of
had like
looking at things and
content
decide.
moderators, right? We've had content moderators in social media, or since websites have been sort of marketplaces and open for 20 years now. And, all sorts of people doing the dirty work of checking that content is okay. This might be a new field of really checking, what responses are okay, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What, in terms of the team, what do you look for in the team that you're building, your technical team? What's the, has something changed then about the types of people that you're trying to hire technically, or it's business as usual?
No, it's definitely changed. So much of this is technology driven. It's not like somebody is going to tell you and define what to build and how to build. Now you have to look at the technology and see the possibilities and see how we can improve the products, for example. So when we hire engineers, now we not only look for people who can execute to a plan and a product definition, but we're also looking for people that can think look at the technology and think about the possibilities that others cannot think about because they are not looking at what technology can do, what are the possibilities. So that's one. The second thing is, when you're dealing with LLMs and the models, the way you think about AI is different now. The skill sets needed to decide which models to use and why, and how to tune and train and make it easy for somebody not dealing with AI day in and day out is a skill set we look for, because even within our company, we want many people that are customer facing, whether it's our delivery teams or support teams, they have to be able to use and leverage and implement for customers, or explain why something is behaving a certain way. So it's a different skill set you have to train people on. So we look for people that can think differently, use LLMs, and also help the front lines understand how to explain it to customer and bring it to life for customers.
That's actually really sort of uplifting in my mind to think that creativity is actually being rewarded here, right? It sounds like you're looking for out of the box thinkers and people that can think differently, right? Which is it's always good.
Very much so. Very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
so. I believe that everybody has ideas, good ideas. You just have to find them. You have to source them. So we make it a point to work with all of our engineers who are thinking and working on a daily basis on their localized problems. And they usually come up with something interesting we never thought of.
That's fun. Yeah. So what's the future for Gupshup? Let's say, what's the 10-year, roadmap? Where do you think this is going? I'm not going to hold you to it. I won't be calling you back in 10 years to see if you did it, but what do you think is next level?
I think if you look at conversations from purely messaging standpoint, that's kind of the basic. Elevating that and creating abstractions for businesses to interact with systems is the future, and the degrees of abstraction is going to get more and more sophisticated. So what you have to do as a customer of Gupshup to have this rich interaction with your customers has to become simpler and sophisticated, and that's what I anticipate happening. I think CEO calls this the conversational internet. So this is as big as internet itself. This is a different kind of internet where conversations are the new browser.
Right.
So that's kind of what we see happening. I think it's a very fundamental shift, and um, all your interactions will. I mean, the number of people that don't even go to a laptop or a desktop is amazing. If you see in Brazil, for example, I'm not sure everybody is at a desk, but everybody has a phone, a rich phone, a smartphone. So I think that's the future, and a something like a messaging application becoming your primary source of interactions for everything is what we see, and we're right in the thick of it, powering that entire revolution. I think that's what
Right.
I see happening.
So, maybe right now the world is a little bit in terms of the date we're kind of having to choose the platform that we interact on, and then that platform owns the data, and then that platform can monetize and use that data. Whereas maybe it's just kind of, people and then conversations, and then you're sort of powering that conversational layer across all the different
Correct.
channels, right?
Right. I think that's the future. We have to be where the customers are, not the other way around.
Yeah, got
I
it.
think gone
Okay.
are the days where technology pulls people to technology. These are days where technology goes to people where people are and where they want to be.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah. So that's a bright future.
Very much.
Yeah. Very
Yes.
exciting. Yeah, it's been kind of very interesting to seep into your mind a little bit and get some ideas as to what's going on and what's the future. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to any planned rollouts, any big sort of anything coming out in 2024 that we should be looking out for.
Oh, we're constantly rolling. Every 5 weeks, we have something new going into the marketplace. So we're on a roll all the time. But yes, we are in Brazil, and we in your part of the world right now. So you should look to hear something about Gupshup in there. Some
Got
new
it.
announcement should be coming in the next quarter.
Awesome. All right. Well, great to meet you, Krishna. Appreciate it.
Very nice talking to you, Stefan.
All
Thank
the
you.
best. Ciao.
Bye bye.